I'm senior investigator Melissa Blasius with an all-new ABC 15 investigation that's 5 months in the making. Our team using the power of public records laws to obtain superintendent contracts and salary data from 84 of Arizona's public school districts. We look at both pay and perks to see what these superintendents are really making.
When I took over the job, I told the board, I can do more than what's being done.
Jeremy Calles is in his third year as superintendent of the Tolleson Union High School District. His district ranks 16th in enrollment statewide, but he ranks #1 in total pay for public school district superintendents.
We constantly want everyone out of school to be willing to accept less money, almost do it like charity work, and we need to get back to having the level of respect that we need for public education.
Tolleson paid Calles a base salary of $334,800 last school year. But add in bonuses and perks, and you'll find this superintendent made nearly $100,000 more, about $433,000 total. Why?
Because we also have the highest paid teacher in Arizona. And so when you look at everything as a multiplier of where's your average salary, where's your CEO or your superintendent salary, our range is not outside the norm.
Calles tells us the higher public education salaries can bring in top candidates and reduce turnover. He says that's a key part of his strategy to improve student performance. Based on Calles' current contract, this year's salary plus add-ons could exceed $475,000. In fact, Calles' total pay is even more than the published salary of the city manager of Phoenix. That's the 5th largest city in the country.
I know what I bring to the table. At the point that my community or my board feel that I have exceeded my worth, I'm sure they'll be the first to let me know.
So what's your superintendent worth? Well, it's hard for Arizonans to know since superintendent salaries are often negotiated away from the public eye in closed-door school board executive sessions. Why do you think there's so much secrecy over what superintendents really make?
Because it's embarrassing. It's frankly embarrassing when you look at the amount of compensation that some people are making.
Chris Thomas from the Goldwater Institute also obtained superintendent contracts for his own research this year. We asked him about performance bonuses, which can be up to 20% of a superintendent's base pay.
I would argue that the whole thing should be performance pay. I mean, you have a contract to do a certain job, and if you don't do that job, which is to improve student achievement, you shouldn't have a contract.
Other common superintendent salary boosters, car allowances as high as $1,300 a month, tech allowances for computers and cell phones, civic engagement funds to join clubs and attend local events, contributions to tax-deferred retirement funds in addition to the regular state pension, and at least one district gave a housing allowance, and 30 districts gave lump sum stipends. Some were more than $20,000 a year. Why wouldn't a district be more specific than just say, stipend, here's a pile of money?
That's a great question. I'm not sure I could answer.
Paul Ty, the executive director of Arizona School Administrators, tells us school boards do try to provide competitive compensation packages. And he said some of the add-on stipends may exist just to make district accounting easier.
They might say, we'd rather give a travel stipend than have you log your miles and get reimbursed every month for your mileage and have to track all of that.
The ABC 15 investigators calculated superintendent salaries based on the maximum compensation listed in their most recent contracts and other data provided by their districts. We found 13 Arizona superintendents whose salaries plus add-ons topped $300,000. You think people are going to think $300,000 is a lot of money to be paying a superintendent?
I imagine people would, especially if they're in a situation where they're living paycheck to paycheck. I'm sure the boards who make those contracts with superintendents look at what the market value is for those positions and responsibilities.
Everyone we interviewed said they would support more transparency about superintendent pay.
We found one particular school district that put their superintendent contract online for anybody to see.
Arizona's highest paid superintendent, Jeremy Calles, does not post his contract online, but he says he supports making contracts and total pay simpler and easier to understand.
In fact, when I took over the position, I gave that option to the board. I'm like, you could throw this all as base salary. It's fine by me.
If you want to look up your superintendent's pay, we've put an interactive database with this story on abc15.com. You'll also see an in-depth explanation of our methodology and some comments from some of the superintendents we just mentioned. I'm Senior Investigator Melissa Blasius, ABC 15, Arizona.